Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys, you probably haven't seen this mat actually in a long time, but this is one of the mats that I've had for a long time. It's the Blue Eyes White Dragon on top of the world over here, but I really like this mat. This is one of those type of mats that I usually take to events sometimes. But yes guys, today for you guys, we're going to be doing a really cool deck profile of my Counter Fairy deck. This is one of those decks that I actually really enjoy playing quite a lot. It's a fun deck. If you guys know me, I love control-based decks. Yes, I love my combo decks, but I really love control-based stun decks. And Counter Fairies are pretty much the epitome of that strategy. And I've always loved them ever since I got a structure deck a couple years ago. There's different ways you can play the deck. There's different options. There's different ratios of counter traps, and definitely with judgment back, with warning back. The deck is just so fun to play with all these counter traps that three of that are really powerful. But without further ado, let us get into the deck profile. Shout out to my boy Olympio. If you remember him, he loved this deck to pieces, and I've always loved it as well. So first we have our three Bountiful Artemis. Yes, those are ultimate rare. I've had these for years now. But three Bountiful Artemis, guys. This card is pretty straightforward. Each time that you activate a counter trap, you get to draw a card. So it's your draw engine for the deck. It's easy to get out. Don't be discounted that its attack is 1,600. It can get boosted through different means, like Sanctuary at the Parshaft can boost it up and help it out to become a little bit more respectable, but overall it's your mainstay of the deck, and I'm so happy I picked these up. They've gone up in price over the years. But next up we run three Aria Grande. Yeah, you heard me say that right, Aria Grande. That's what I initially pronounced this card as back in the day. I know it's Guiding Ariane. I understand that what it's called, but forgive me if I slip up and say Aria Grande, because I've literally called that card this for probably, I don't know, like 3 years going on now, 3-4 years. But we run three of Aria Grande. See, I'm just doing it again. Because it's really good. It helps you not use the effects of your counter traps, which is nice, so you won't have to pay life points, get the negative effects, etc. Really great card overall. Staple three of in the deck. Really helped the counter fairy strategy overall. So you gotta summon Aria Grande to the field. Yes, I know, Guiding Ariane. I'm probably, some of you guys out there going, ah! And I'm just laughing, and some of you are probably laughing. But legitly, I've carded Aria Grande, like I said. Next we run three Mimir, Scholar of the Sky. This card's really good for the fact that it helps you search your different fairies off, which is really nice, and I like it as a 2-of in the deck. It's a nice card to have. It has a decent body as well. If you get this guy on the field and you start going off with counter traps, it really becomes a powerful card. So I like him as a 2-of in the deck. He's really useful. Next up, we run some 1-of fairies. We run one Power Angel Valkyrie. We run one the Meltion Sage of the Sky as a 1-of. We also run one Barrier Statue of the Heavens. Now, you may be asking, why are you running some of these 1-of fairies? Is there a reason behind that? Well, let's talk a little bit about one of the spell cards that I really like in this deck, and it feels like this card was kind of made for this deck in a way, and that is the Ties of the Brethren. Ties of the Brethren is very good in this deck because you can get all your fairy monsters out. Individually, they have decent effects, but if you get a majority of them out, maybe you get your Bountiful Artemis out, then you get your Scholar out, and maybe you're going first, so maybe you're going to get your Barrier Statue of the Heavens out. Or maybe you're using Ties, it's turn 2, you're going second. Maybe you want to bring out your Meltion here to pop cards when you start going off on your counter trap, because maybe your opponent's built up a board. So really overall, I really like this, and that's where you're seeing some 1-ofs and 2-ofs of certain counter fairies, etc., because it's going to work with the Ties of the Brethren. This is a Ties of the Brethren build, which I really like. So that's why you're seeing this. Valkyrie is really good because it can help recur things from grave. Meltion, as I was saying, it gives you life points, which gives you a cushion. Believe me, especially now with Judgment and Warning at multiples now, and even you're running Solemn Strike in this deck, if you don't have your Guiding you're guiding Aria Grande, you know, up on the field to help mitigate that, you're going to have to use life points, and this can help you give you a cushion and make sure that your counter traps are going to still be live, your generic ones, the ones you want at multiples. Also, on top of that, it can help pop things and clear boards. I discounted this card until a friend suggested it to me. I tried it out, and I haven't looked back, because this is a Ties of the Brethren build, so it works beautifully with it. Barrier Statue of the Heaven gives you a stun element. I mean, there's nothing, I mean, yes, they can go into a light monster and just destroy things, but in a lot of matchups, this card's going to put in work, especially in this build. Most of your deck is all going to be, you know, light monsters. You're going to, the main monsters you go for in the extra deck are going to be light monsters. So, yeah, it's perfectly fine. It's going to help give you protection, stun your opponent. You're literally going Vanity's Emptiness, set a whole bunch of traps and saying to your counter traps and saying, pass, turn one, your go. That's what you're saying to your opponent. So that's why I like these one-ofs here. They're really good, and I really enjoy them in the deck. Next we run 2 Condemn Witch. Condemn Witch is just a nice card to have. Yes, it's a dark attribute, but it's really nice because it can help you search out a cool card, which actually, believe me, I prefer this card, Forbidden Chalice, which can do a bunch of different cool little tricks in the deck. Now, some people are going to say, hey, shouldn't you run Forbidden Droplets? And I'd say to that, yeah, that card's good. I won't deny that. In the meta, it's good. But with this deck's applications from playtesting, I tried out, you know, 1 Forbidden Droplets in the deck because it was searchable. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't as impressed as I thought I was going to be compared to using it in a meta deck. I really liked Chalice a little bit more because Chalice, a lot of your monsters have low attack. Chalice can give them attack boost for the turn and prevent them from being destroyed. Don't discount that. But also I could use it as a stun element on my opponent's card. Say they were trying to do something to get around my board I've created and I've set up. Well, I could just negate a monster effect. I don't care about your attack. Your effect's negated. I don't have to worry about it. And it's searchable as a one-of. So that's the reason why I chose it over Forbidden Droplets. If you like Forbidden Droplets, if you own Forbidden Droplets, maybe you run it in the deck. But I really have the versatility of Chalice, especially in this deck on the offensive and defensive side, is really, really good. And so that's why I like the 1 Chalice. But Condemn Witch, overall, it's going to help you be kind of like a pseudo Lone Fire Blossom to bring your things out from your deck, depending upon what you want. Maybe you didn't draw, you know, have ties. Maybe you didn't have Bountiful Artemis in your opening hand. Hey, at least you can bring Bountiful Artemis out. So I really like this card as a 2-of. It's not essential, but it's really good to have. Then the last monster we want is 1 Sanctuary Arch of the Parshaft. It's just a good one-of you run in the main deck. That's really nice. You're going to bring this card out through REbirth of the Parshaft, if you guys are wondering. REbirth of the Parshaft is going to help bring this out, as well as the synchros that we have in the extra deck, if you guys are wondering. Then we run 3 Ties of the Brethren. Ties of the Brethren, like I said, this is a Ties of the Brethren build of the deck. That's why you see some 1-ofs and 2-ofs of the fairy monsters. But this card's really great in this deck because you're going to be setting up your, you know, 3 fairy monsters that you really want. If you have hand traps, that's great. You can set up your hand traps, excuse me, not your hand traps, your counter traps, excuse me, in your back row, your counter traps, and your board's all ready to go. So I like the Ties of the Brethren build in this deck. It's really nice and really good to have, I feel like. Next we run 3 Pot of Extravagance. Pot of Extravagance in this deck is amazing because it's just a good draw power for this deck. I don't use my extra deck, guys. I use it for maybe 2 cards at most, and then you crack in case of emergencies. That's the only time I'm going to use my extra deck. I don't care. Okay? My deck is going to stun you, and then I'm going to drain you of resources and then start punching you with my counter fairies. That's what this deck does. It's going to stun you, drain you of your resources, and start punching you because you got nothing left to go in the tank. You weren't able to get your engine going, so to speak. So that's why Extravagance is so great in this deck. You don't have to worry about the drawback. You don't have to worry about the draw. You know, you can't draw for the rest of the turn because you're searching pretty much everything. So yeah, really love this card in this deck. It's staple along with the Ties of the Brethren, I feel like. Sorry about that. I had something in my throat, guys. Next up, we have our 3 Sanctuary of the Parshaft. Some people like this as a 3 of, 2 of. If I could be mistaken, but I think this stacks. I don't know if this stacks or not. I'm having a brain fart. I forgot to look the ruling up again. It's been a while since I've played this deck, but I've played it a lot. But from my recollection, it does stack, I think. Forgive me if I'm wrong. If it doesn't really matter. But the main important thing is it actually gives you a 300 attack boost. That's one thing that's important. And you may think, oh, that in the grand scheme of things, that's not important. You say that until you notice how weak your counter fairies are and how that 300 attack boost really helps. The other thing is it helps you recycle your counter traps, which is really nice as well. Staple 3 of, and the third reason this card's great is because this is considered a Sanctuary in the sky while on the field. On top of this, I also decided to run the 1 Sanctuary in the sky in the deck. Sanctuary in the sky is a 1 of, is really nice to have. It helps you not take battle damage, but it also is good because it helps with some of your counter traps, and it's just really good. And most of your counter fairies are going to get their additional effects if Sanctuary of the Sky is on the field. So if one of these is up and running, you're usually good. Preferably this one, but this one's also good as a 1 of. So that is for the Sanctuary of the Sky cards. The 1 Forbidden Chalice that we were talking about earlier, guys, just a good 1 of to have in the deck. It's searchable, it's multi-versatile, a little bit more than droplets from playtesting, but like I said, if you feel differently, go right ahead. 1 Drastic Drop-Off. Drastic Drop-Off is good as a 1 of in this deck. I do like it as a 2 of. If you ask me, hey, if I didn't own 1 card, what is 1 card you would boost up, Seto? I'm going to say Drastic Drop-Off to 2 of, because this is a type of card that's going to be live no matter what. Some people with counter fairy decks, they'll be passive aggressive, and you can just start ripping their hand apart with Drastic Drop-Off. But because of space reasons, I cut it down from a 2 of to a 1 of, which I'd run for years, and I haven't looked back really because I really like it. Next we run 2 REbirth of the Parshaft. Like I said, this is a great card. Doesn't take a lot of setup. You do have to a counter trap in your hand, but you run a lot of them, so it doesn't matter. Great card. And also, like I said, this is the way you're going to bring out your big Parshaft guy from your main deck and your Parshaft Synchro from the extra deck. Next we run 3 Divine Punishment. People like this card just as a 1 of, and prefer to run they're like, oh, it's a good card, but, and I'm like, the only requirement for this card is to have a Ancient Sanctuary card on the field. That includes the counter trap, the continuous spell, and the field spell. It can be either one of those. So I like this card as a 2 of because you're already running that, and this card's just a free negation, and that's a counter trap. And it's so awesome for that reason because you can just go negate, cool, get my effects off, cool, didn't cost me anything except having the spell, one of those spell cards on the field. Just too great. Next we run 3 Solemn Judgment. Thank you, Konami, for putting this back to 3 of. I could not be more happier that Solemn Judgment is at 3. Where's Dark-Armed Dragon to 3 so I can play my Teledad? But beside the point, this card's amazing in this deck. Awesome. It's always going to be live. Just an amazing card overall. There's nothing negative to say about it, really. 3 Solemn Strikes. You're going to say, yep, I agree with that too. It's negation, guys. Just more generic, negation cards. These are the original ones I've had since Bosch, so that's kind of cool that I get to play them in a counter fairy deck. 2 Solemn Warning. Some of you are going, huh? Like, why only 2? Because I find that Judgment and Strike are just a little bit better. A little bit. And Warning's nice. But I feel that there are other cards I wanted to run instead of Triple Warning. That's just me. But if you want to run Triple Warning, be my guest. I definitely understand why. If you don't have certain cards in the deck, maybe you bump Warning up to 3 of is what I would say too. That would probably be my 41st or 42nd card. And lastly, 2 Stormy Mirror Force. And there's people going, wait, that's not a counter trap. Why are you running it? Why are you not running that 3rd Solemn Warning? Aha. Let me explain myself for a second because I really want to help you guys out here with this deck. Again, like I said, your monsters have low attack. Sometimes you cannot get your board up and running like that quickly, and you need some protection. This board does not have a way of getting rid of the field. There's not a really good board wipe type of card in this deck. And the fact of the matter also is, the easiest way for somebody to disrupt a counter trap deck is just to plain run over their monster with their bigger monster. So they use their big monster to run over your little monster, just like old school Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, that's what a lot of people have done to me for years. That's why I'm running Stormy Mirror Force. It takes care of a lot of issues. If they're just trying to go all in because you run out of counter traps where you didn't have enough, you didn't draw right, you didn't get the right cards, you can at least bounce their field back and protect your monsters that you have out in the field until you draw some more counter traps, because it may take a little bit of a while for them to get back online if you've bounced everything. So as a 2-of, I really like Stormy Mirror Force, and it catches people off guard so much with this deck, because they're like, haha, you're low life points, and I'm like, sure, attack. Oh my gosh, there goes my field. Oh, you have no counter traps left. I'm going to attack you. Bounce your entire field. It works. Like, people just don't understand that mentality, but it really, Stormy Mirror Force has won me games straight up with this deck. So try it before you diss it. Lastly, we run 2 Celestic Night Lord Parshaft in this deck. This is just a good, probably, it's the kind of the link monster for the deck. You can easily make this, so I like it as a 2-of in the deck. 1 Phoenix, you don't really need it, but I like it. I prefer 2 Cerberus because we're running the pot and you want to get rid of big monsters and stuff like that, so I like it as a 2-of. Same thing with Unicorn, guys. I want to run triple Unicorn as well, because in case one gets banished, you at least have another. 1 Blackluster Soldier, Chaos. This card's really good in this deck. It's easy to get off, so I like it as a 3-of. We run a bunch of rank 4s. We run Starleash Paddle Dynamo. Don't disconnect this card. 1 Abyss Dweller. 1 number 41 Bagasucha. If all else fails, you go for Exciton Knight, which can be easily made. And then we also run 1 Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. So these are your Exceed monsters. Just a good generic rank 4 package, because a lot of your monsters are going to be level 4. And the last 2 things that we run, guys, is the 2 Avenging Knight Parshaft. Like I talked about earlier with the Parshaft trap card, that's how you're going to get this out. So 2 Avenging Parshaft, just in case one gets banished. But yeah, guys, that is the deck profile in a nutshell. It's a very fun deck to play, I would say, overall. I know I kind of went into detail because I've played this deck for a long time. I'm not joking. And I know some of you may have been upset for me calling, guiding Aria Grande, but whatever. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Go Counter Fairies, go Alenthio if you remember him from back in the day. But take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling to all of you guys. Remember, guys, negate with Solemn Judgment, negate with Solemn Strike, and then win with Solemn Warning, because you're just going to tell your opponent no, 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 no all the time with Counter Fairies. Take care, guys. Good luck dueling to all of you.